As you approach the vehicle with the key, it has a full proximity system, so it senses the key when you walk up to it. But there is no lights that turn on. It doesn't sense the key and start turning lights on. Now, if we hit the unlock button, we have some lights there in the front, the back, but we also have this is an excellent approach light. Look at there, all the way across the side of the vehicle. So the front and rear passengers all have a nice illuminated path to get to the vehicle. There's also the cargo lights turn on, and it also illuminates the ground behind the vehicle. So here's the headlight switch, and it's just simply, you just turn it, and it's illuminated so you can see what you're doing. Off, parking lights, automatic headlights, and then the headlights on manually. The center button here is to turn on or off the fog lights, and then you have this button over here for the bed lighting, so you can turn that bed lighting on or off. There's a dimmer switch for the interior gauges here as well. You can actually turn off all the exterior lights using the headlight switch off position, and it turns off all the exterior lights, and you can drive this way. A lot of vehicles won't let you do that. Now we have the parking lights on, and the parking lights are these white LED daytime running lights, and they're not overly bright. You're not going to mistake these for headlights, but they look really good. Very distinct, sharp LEDs that kind of wrap around the actual headlight housing. Looking really good. There's also an amber side marker here in the front, a red side marker here in the back, and the tail lights here are LED, and they're red, and they're fairly bright, and they're in a high position, very easily seen by other drivers. The turn signal here in the front is amber in color, and it's just within that housing there, and it's in a fairly high position. It's bright enough to where it can be seen by other drivers. There's also a turn signal indicator here on the side mirror. Once again, amber in color, LED. It's visible from the front, the side, and the back. And the turn signal back here is amber in color, but it's a halogen bulb. And speaking of halogen bulbs, the reverse lights are also halogen bulbs. And there is a third brake light at the top of the cab as well. Now let's turn on the headlights. There's the low beams, and you can see the cutoff there. We'll go down the road and I'll show you what it looks like. But the low beams, it's actually a dual projector system, and they're auto leveling as well. So you can see that both of them are lit, both for the low and the high beams. So let me step back here and show you where the cutoff is. So just looking at them right now, standing up, I'm looking directly at the projectors, and I'm not blinding me at all. When I dip the camera down though, about 2.5, 3 feet off the ground, that's where most of the light is. So it's very bright below that area. So it's actually using both of the lights, and for both the low and the high beams. So yeah, that it looks like it's going to work well. We'll see what it looks like going on a dark road though. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch to the high beams there. There's the low beams, there's the high beams. And now it's refocusing these lights. And this one right here is now much brighter, the bottom one. So now we have basically the same amount of lights as far as the projectors, but it's just refocusing that one. So we'll see what it looks like on a dark road. These are usually Ford does a pretty good job, so we'll see what happens. I'm seeing a little bit of patchiness here on the light, so hopefully that won't be an issue down, extending down the road. So let's go ahead and see what the fog lights look like when I toggle those. You can see those are closer to the vehicle. Pretty good pattern, and it kind of fills in those little patchiness too. And they are also projectors down here, LED projectors. and they turn off when you turn on the high beams. So when you lower the tailgate, it doesn't automatically turn on the bed lights or anything. We do have to use the switch. When we turn on the bed lighting, it also turns on these side lights as well, which is appreciated. And the rear lights. So if this tailgate is up, like so, that light is going to shine all on the ground, which is great. I love that light right there. I like approach lights around the vehicle. So the bed lighting is coming from the sides there, but mostly up here on the cab, illuminating pretty much everywhere. You see a little bit of shadows, but it's not really a big deal. Just move this bed extender out of the way so you can see a little bit better. It's mostly here in the back, right in that center area, but it does a pretty good job of filling in most of the bed. But yeah, not bad. We do have some outlets over here. There's no specific lights for those, but you know, you can still see them pretty good with these lights. This vehicle has zone lighting, so we have to turn off the exterior lights to turn on the zone lights. All right, so we can choose which ones we want: left, right, front, back. We can choose all of them if we want. There's settings right here, and it basically goes back to what we saw before. Okay, so all the zones are on. So basically it's just giving us the headlights there, the side lights. So you notice that that approach light shines on the ground, but this light shines directly out this way. So it illuminates this whole area here. And then you can see there's another one on this side. And you can all turn on these independently. So that light is separate from the side light here. And they're both on as well. And then the rear light is basically the one we saw before right here. It illuminates the ground around the vehicle. So yeah, this is excellent. When you're working, also has the reverse lights. It turns on the reverse lights as well as additional lights. But yeah, I love these zone lighting that Ford came up with. It's really good for working at night. You pull up, and if you need to work on one side or the other or all around the truck, you can turn on the zone lighting. The inside of the back door, there's no puddle light or anything specific to this door. But when this door right here is shut, which is open now, you can see that light shines on the ground. So it works when that front door is shut, as like a puddle light or approach light here. There's no pocket lights or anything here in the door. And the light here in the center does like a halfway decent poor job of illuminating the back. And this vehicle isn't ideal for my equipment. I mean, I have to leave a lot of equipment at home because I just can't fit it in here unless I throw it in the back of the truck. So, you know, like the Honda Ridgeline was perfect. I can fit all my equipment. Like a F-150 is perfect. But this is, you know, you can see I've got it kind of clustered up here. I don't know if you can see because it's so dark in here. Okay, so the front door doesn't have a dedicated puddle light. It just has that approach light on the outside of the door. So you can see there's quite a bit of a shadow right here where you would step out. So it doesn't have a dedicated puddle light. There's no pocket lights or anything like that here. And then there is backlit buttons. All the buttons here on the door are backlit, which is good. There's no floorboard illumination. And the lights here on the front are, once again, not all that great. Mostly shine in the lap area. But yeah, but you kind of need a flashlight with this vehicle. I'll show you why in just a little bit. Okay, so there's the door open, so you can see what it looks like. Shut the door, and the lights turn out. And yeah, okay, so we'll start here with the steering wheel. All the lights, all the buttons are backlit, which is good. And here's the digital screen here, and over here. Let me just kind of cycle through the brightness here with the brightness setting. So that's all the way down, and bring it up. That's all the way up. So you can adjust the brightness, pretty much adjust everything really. But you'll notice that it's very dark. You know, this whole area here is dark, here, and floorboard and all that stuff. So working with this vehicle is not, like actually working the inside of this truck is not fun to work and get tools and all that stuff. Not fun at all. It's really a problem for me. with trying to get my equipment and all that stuff. So let's just rewind time. Let's get the sun back up a little bit so we can actually see something. Okay, so I think that did it. I rewound time a little bit to right before the sun went down. You can see a little bit of sun in the sky. It's actually down, but we have enough light to show you a few things. So it has this compartment here that's completely dark. It is a full compartment, very useful, but it's completely dark. This little quick access pad right here, completely dark. Glove compartment, completely dark. Floorboard, dark. This area where you put your cell phone, no light whatsoever. And the center console here, no light. So yeah, we'll have to go back to the dark area again. Now there is something that helps out with all this darkness in this vehicle. If you look into settings, and you don't go to vehicle, you go to general, and then you have to scroll all the way down. It does have the brightness, the display brightness here that you can adjust if you want to adjust that too. But if you scroll all the way down to ambient lighting, you can turn that on, and it has a brightness setting as well. So let's turn that on right there. So now we have a light in that pocket right there. We have a light here in the center console, or the center area here where the cell phone charger is. And it's a good thing because those two USB ports are not backlit. So that pocket there is illuminated. Here a little bit of accents here on the door, here on the driver's door here as well. And it's just right in this little area right here. Kind of illuminates a little bit here. But yeah, that helps out a lot. Now there is no color adjustments or anything, but we still don't have any lights in the center console, the glove compartment, the above compartment. All that is completely dark. So turn on the interior light. So yeah, this compartment's still dark. Glove compartment's still dark. And this center console. So it's really somewhat functional. It's a somewhat functional light, and it's an ambient light at the same time. You know, the lights in the doors kind of does a nice effect. This is definitely very, very good to have that light, because that's a very handy pocket just to put stuff down. But yeah, I wish I had, you know, glove compartment light, different pocket lights and stuff, compartment lights, and maybe some floorboard illumination. But at least this ambient light does kind of help out a little bit with all the darkness. It does look a lot better than without it. So up here is the buttons to turn on the interior lights here and turn them on with the door or not. Now it does have the light backlit, so that's good. And then the little button for sliding the rear glasses is backlit, and then the visors have mirrors with lights. Here's the navigation map, what it looks like at nighttime. It's pretty standard. And let's go ahead and put the camera system on, which is fantastic. I mean, at nighttime you can see really good, especially if you use the zone lighting around the vehicle. But right now, there's no, like you can see, there's not a lot of light around the truck here, but we can see fairly well. See enough to avoid obstacles and stuff like that. So yeah, really impressed with the camera system, the 360 camera system. And you have different views here as well. So there's the parking sensors, there's the behind the view, and there's to back up to a trailer. Isn't that nice? You can see even at nighttime right where to back up to a trailer. I don't know if you can tell, but there is a little cornering light that turns on when you turn the steering wheel as you're going forward. If you're just sitting still, it's not working. So you have to go forward like this, and then you'll see a little cornering light turn on as you turn the steering wheel. So in the dark areas, it really helps out. I really like cornering lights. So there is the headlight pattern on the fence. And there's the high beams, there's the low beams, and you'll notice there's a little notch that is a little bit lower than the rest of the headlight pattern. And that's supposed to line up with the oncoming lane. And we'll see how that goes. Yeah, really liking that cornering light. And the headlights also move. They're auto leveling, but they also move a little bit. You can see when I turn the steering wheel like that, they move left and right, and then the cornering lights turn on. So let's go ahead and turn on the fog lights. There we go. So now I have the low beams with the fog lights on, and hopefully you can see, but on the oncoming lane, you can see there's quite a big shadow there on that oncoming lane. That's that little notch I was pointing out on the fence. It's actually a big shadow on this vehicle. And that's intended to not allow glare to get on oncoming traffic, because like say the wet roads or deviations in the road, like we're bouncing up and down, that kind of stuff. So it just gives a little bit of leeway for the oncoming traffic. Now it does have the auto leveling headlights, but they don't like keep it perfectly level all the time. It's only when you either floor it or if you have a heavy load in the back and it squats the back, then it'll try to push them down. But they're not like constantly keeping them perfectly level or anything like that. And we'll see how the motion of the headlights work. Usually it doesn't really add much, but you know, it might come in handy in certain scenarios. For the roads I drive on, it doesn't really help, but that's kind of neat, I guess. But anytime you have that little notch, that little shadow, when you have headlights that turn, sometimes it puts the shadow on my lane instead of the oncoming lane. So that's sometimes an issue. Okay, so hopefully you can see that shadow now a little bit better. It's on the oncoming lane. And it's pretty good size, but it is directly on the oncoming lane. Oh, wow. Okay, so the high beams are fantastic. Yeah, it just illuminates the entire area. Yeah, so yeah, the low beams are good. And the high beams are excellent. Yeah, those high beams are really, really good. They fill in everywhere. The trees in the distance, everywhere on the sides of the road is illuminated. If there's a deer there, no problem. There's no real significant patchiness in front of the vehicle other than just real close there. But yeah, it just illuminates everything. There's a little patchiness, but it's not really a big deal considering how well everything's illuminated. It just does a great job. The brightness is excellent. The pattern is excellent. Even gives you really good height as well. So there's low beams, there's the high, yeah, oh yeah. Loving those high beams. Okay, so excellent headlights, okay? Excellent headlights, I would say. Now, into exterior lights, pretty much excellent. You know, there's a few halogen bulbs, right? But as far as exterior lights on this vehicle, they're pretty good. They're very good. Interior lights, on the other hand, are they're on the poor level. It's like they're like, well, Japanese trucks have poor interior lights. I guess we can have poor interior lights too. It's like, you know, it's really, really strange. Usually Ford and some of the other vehicles, they're really impressive inside and out. This one with the Lariat trim, the highest trim, 2024 model, like the newest model, just redesigned the whole truck. And they have this weird interior lights that turn on sometimes when you know, stuff like that, when you do need them, when you don't need them, you know, and then it has, I don't know, it has been a pain with the interior lights. So yeah, interior lights, not good. Exterior lights, good, very good. So yeah, hopefully it's been helpful. Let me know what you think in the comments. And man, I'm just really, just the disparity, like the contrast between the interior lights and exterior lights is a problem. Now you notice that the low beams, that shadow is on this lane sometimes. So yeah, it's, you know, it's one of those things. So the low beams are not as impressive as the high beams. The high beams are like super duper good. The low beams are kind of okay. They're bright and everything. I like them, but that shadow issue it has an issue sometimes. Yeah, turning right is not really an issue. It's mostly turning left for some reason. It puts that shadow to where it's like 100 feet in front of the vehicle. It's dark, sometimes. But yeah, great high beams anyway. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.